Have you ever had a moment in the silence of the night when everything just felt off? You're sitting alone, maybe staring at the ceiling or out at the stars, and suddenly a strange thought creeps in. What if none of this is real? Not the kind of thought that passes like a cloud, but one that lingers, that echoes. What if your life is not what you think it is? What if your memories are implants, your emotions, data, your body, a shell? What if you're not living in this world, but being studied by it? From the moment we're born, we're handed a script. You're a human, you're on Earth, you live, you die, end of story. But what if that story was never yours? What if everything, from your childhood memories to your concept of love, was engineered, not by evil forces, not by benevolent gods, but by something beyond comprehension, a force or intelligence running an experiment, and you're one of the subjects, not just watched, but shaped, like a rat in a maze, like a player in a game who doesn't know he's playing. Let's start where science begins to shiver, the simulation hypothesis. It's not just sci-fi anymore. Philosophers like Nick Bostrom and tech titans like Elon Musk have seriously proposed that the odds we're in the base reality are near zero. Why? Because any advanced civilization would inevitably reach the point where they can simulate entire worlds, consciousness and all, and if they can, they will. Billions of simulations, billions of artificial realities, and statistically, it's far more likely that you are inside one of them rather than the original. Think about that. Every moment you've cried, loved, feared, every death, every heartbreak, every dream, all simulated. And the worst part? You wouldn't know, because the simulation would be flawless. Pain would feel real, hope would feel real, so you'd never question it, until now. But maybe this isn't a simulation, maybe it's a lab, and you're the result of an ancient biological experiment. Long before recorded history, something, or someone, came to Earth. They found early hominids, and they changed them, modified their DNA. Enhanced their brains, not out of compassion, not to save them, but to observe what would happen. Why do ancient cultures, from the Sumerians to the Dogon tribe, speak of sky gods and beings from the stars who shaped man? Why does the Bible itself say, "Let us make man in our image"? Who is us? What if your entire species is just an experiment in consciousness, an ongoing test, repeated across millennia, not for your benefit, but for theirs? Maybe they're still watching, maybe they never left, or maybe they walk among us. Have you ever felt it? A sense that something just doesn't add up? Moments of déjà vu so intense you feel sick. A sudden memory that doesn't fit your life. People acting like they're reading from a script. You shake it off. Tell yourself, it's just in your head. But deep down, you know, reality is too precise to be random, too messy to be divine, too perfect to be unintentional. It's as if someone or something is tweaking the variables, changing the rules, mid-game, watching your reactions. So which is it? A digital simulation, a genetic experiment, a cosmic test? What if it's all of them? What if reality is layered? Level 1, you think you're a person. Level 2, you realize you're in a system. Level 3, you question who made the system and why. And level 4, you understand you might be the system. If we are part of a simulation or experiment, who or what is behind it? Is it aliens, a super-intelligent AI, God, or something we can't even describe? Something that transcends matter, language, and time? Some say it's a universal consciousness, using reality as a testing ground for experience. Others believe it's a cold machine, studying behavior like scientists watching ants under glass. But either way, it watches, it records, it learns, and sometimes it intervenes. not with thunderbolts or flying saucers, but with subtle nudges. A dream that feels too real. A stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear. A near-death moment that shifts your entire perspective. Was it fate, or was it programmed? Let's go deeper. What if the experiment isn't just on your body or your mind, but your soul? What if this entire life, your pain, your triumphs, your failures, are part of a curriculum? Not a punishment, not a gift, but a controlled environment. For testing spiritual evolution, you fall in love, they watch. You lose everything, they watch. You're betrayed, healed, broken, reborn, and through it all, they're taking notes. Not with malice, but with precision. They're not interested in what happens to you. They're watching how you respond. Because that response reveals something. Maybe something even they don't understand yet. Now step back. Look at humanity today. We live in a world of constant surveillance. Every click, every scroll, every word you type is recorded. Your emotions are tracked by algorithms. Your face is scanned. Your voice is mapped. Some say it's about control, but what if it's data extraction? What if humans are not being controlled, but harvested? Your thoughts, your fears, your instincts, fed into something far more advanced than any government. Meta-intelligence, one that feeds off experience, off emotion, because emotion is power, joy, rage, despair, love. Maybe you are more than flesh and blood. Maybe you are a generator of feeling. And that's exactly what they need. Now imagine, this world is a game, not a fun one, not always fair, but a designed challenge. You spawn in without memory. You have to figure out the rules. You level up through pain and knowledge. And eventually, you either wake up or loop. Again. Maybe the point isn't to win. Maybe it's to remember you were playing, and those who wake up, they glitch the system. They start asking the forbidden questions. They stop obeying without knowing why. And then the game adapts. All around you, clues hide in plain sight. Ancient texts that speak of watchers, of gods that experiment with mankind. Mythologies that repeat the same themes. Creators, testers, rebels. Science that keeps discovering rules that sound more like code than nature. Entanglement, non-locality, time not as a flow but as a coordinate. Doesn't it feel artificial, even your body? 98% of your DNA. Non-coding. They used to call it junk. Why? Because they don't understand it? But maybe it's not junk, maybe it's encrypted. Here's the strangest part. You already know something's off. You've felt it since you were a child. That longing, that quiet ache. That sense of, this isn't home. You try to fit in. You follow the rules. You smile for the pictures. But deep down, something whispers, this is not what it seems. You weren't crazy. You were sensing the edges of the experiment. And maybe you were meant to. Because maybe you're not just a subject. Maybe you're part of the control group. Maybe you're a sleeper agent in a system designed to wake up. Sometimes you notice the glitches. A person you were just thinking about suddenly calls. A moment of déjà vu hits you so hard it freezes time. You look at the clock, 11:11 again. Coincidence? Or are you starting to see the code behind reality? Some people brush it off. Others dive deep. They study the ancient teachings. They meditate. They fast. They isolate. Not because they're escaping the world, but because they're searching for the signal beneath the noise. And some of them find it. They report visions, downloads, voices in the silence. A connection that doesn't feel like imagination. It feels like they touch the edge of the veil. Who are the people who question everything? The philosophers, the mystics, the heretics. They are hated by the system, or labeled insane. But history shows a pattern. Every few generations, someone comes along who breaks the illusion. They wake others up. They speak in riddles or parables. They often die young, or disappear completely. But before they go, they leave breadcrumbs, stories, teachings, frequencies, keys. Why? Because the experiment might have a backdoor. And they found it. Here's the question that changes everything. What if you're not just inside the experiment? What if you were sent here to change it, to test the testers, to awaken the sleepers, to inject chaos into a controlled world? Because chaos creates freedom. Your anxiety, it's the pressure of remembering your dreams. They're messages from your original mind, a mind that knows more than this body ever could. You're not broken, you're breaking through. Systems don't like being questioned, and if this is a simulation, it's designed to protect itself. That's why distractions are everywhere. That's why fear is used like currency. That's why the moment you start to wake up, life gets harder. Because you're stepping out of the script, and the system will try to pull you back in with temptations, with doubts, with fear of being alone. But here's the truth. You were never alone. Others are waking up too. They don't always look like you. They don't always speak like you, but they feel it. The same pull, the same ache, the same mission. They say if you fully wake up inside the dream, you can reshape it. You can bend the rules. You can see through the lies. You can remember who you were before you entered. And then you become a glitch, a virus, a rebel, a liberator. Not through violence, but through frequency. Your thoughts stop being reactive. Your energy becomes unpredictable. Your presence alone disrupts patterns. You're not escaping the experiment. You're rewriting it from the inside. So now ask yourself, why do you feel what you feel? Why do you question what others accept? Why does your heart long for something more? Because maybe you came here on purpose. Not as a prisoner, not as a victim, but as an observer, a changer, a spark of the original source, sent into the experiment to evolve it, to test it, to complete it, or maybe to shut it down. Now that the seed is planted, it will grow. And as you look around at your job, your friends, your routines, you'll begin to see through them, not with bitterness, but with clarity. You'll start to remember, and you'll realize something powerful. Even if you're in an experiment, you can still choose how you play. You can live asleep or awaken and become something unexpected, something the creators didn't anticipate. Maybe that's the entire point, not to escape, not to obey, but to choose, because in a controlled world, free will is the ultimate anomaly. And you are the variable, the X factor, the wild card. The one thing no intelligence, no algorithm, no God could fully predict. And that makes you powerful. So what if you're just an experiment? Then this life, every second, is part of something so much bigger. Your fear, valuable data, your love, a signal that pierces dimensions, your awakening, the beginning of something. They can't control, so don't fear the question, lean into it. Because sometimes asking if you're part of an experiment is the very first step to becoming the experimenter.